Short turnaround after a big blowout win of the Chicago Bears. Niners facing the Los Angeles Rams. And this is an important one in week 15. Does Deebo deserve more targets? Will the defense start to look like the unit we thought it might be to start the season? All that and more coming up on today's Locked On 49ers.
You are Locked On 49ers, your daily San Francisco 49ers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On 49ers. Brian Peacock and Eric Crocker with you as always at BD Peacock at Crocky209. Thanks everybody for making us your first listen here on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Love and appreciate all the everydayers out there and the new listeners. Welcome. Make sure you subscribe on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts. We got a very special guest as we do on Wednesdays. If you're watching on YouTube, you see him on the screen. More on that gentleman in a moment as we break down where the 49ers are here heading into week 15. Today's episode of Locked On 49ers brought to you by FanDuel. New customers can place a $5 bet and you'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. Now, let's bring on today's guest.
Nicholas Winkler, come on down. I don't mind.
Wink, what's happening, my man? Big win for the San Francisco 49ers. Little confidence boost. Vibes were down, and the Niners still need some help but have a shot. We broke down a lot of what the playoff odds might be for the San Francisco 49ers. Starts with another win going back-to-back, which has been difficult for this football team with the Los Angeles Rams in week 15. But let's finish up our conversation about week 14 before we turn the page to the Rams. What did you see out there from the 49ers against the Chicago Bears? And does it give you enough confidence that the 49ers might be able to pull off the impossible and make a little run here to end the season?
I mean, I think I saw the team we were expecting all year, right? I mean, good defense, good offense, good special teams, just a good football team. And they showed up and they showed out. And it was really fun to watch that football game because it's been a couple weeks of just like getting beat up on both sides of the ball nonstop. And it's been rough to watch as a fan. So that was a wonderful game for the 49ers. Great for the confidence. I think Gross Matos was heard after the game saying, like, that's our first playoff dub. Because that's how they're looking at it, right? Going forward is they're looking at it like this is a playoff win or go home, essentially. You can't lose Thursday night. Like it's a must win, a big of a must win as they've had all season long. And you know, they took care of business against the Bears. So now you got to go and take care of business against your division rival, the Los Angeles Rams.
Croc, was the blowout win for the 49ers against the Bears more impressive, or was the Rams 2-point win over Josh Allen's Buffalo Bills, who we just saw the Niners play the week before and got thumped in Buffalo? Buffalo flies across the country out of the snow into sunny Los Angeles and lost by 44-42 in a shootout to Matthew Stafford. Puka Nacua, who off the air we talked about is on your fantasy team, so don't be too excited about the Puka Nacua catch, Croc. Was the Niners win more impressive, or was the Rams win more impressive in week 14?
You know, I think there's always something impressive about doing what you're supposed to do. The 49ers were favored. We expected the 49ers to win this game. You're playing against a young quarterback, and a lot of our keys to victory were pressuring him, move him off of his spot, and we saw that early and often. So for a team that's decimated by injuries, that's very impressive. But not as impressive as winning a game where the opposing quarterback scores 6 touchdowns, accounts for 6 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, giving up 42 points on defense, and your offense needing to score 44 points to win the game, and you do that. I think that's super impressive, especially against a red hot Buffalo team that's, one of the best teams in the AFC. So that was a huge win for the Rams to really kind of stay in contention for the division. I'd say that has to be more impressive.
I think when you start putting on the film, though, at the Rams team, you kind of lick your chops a little bit if you're the 49ers offense. And Brock Purdy might be like, oh, can I 6 touchdowns, maybe 360 yards, something like that. He doesn't need to go that far. But, and in fact, it's pretty crazy that Josh Allen, I think quarterbacks that accounted for 6 touchdowns and didn't turn the ball over were like 248-0 in NFL history. Now they're 248-1. because they still lost that football game. Now, the 49ers offense in the snow couldn't take advantage of that Bills defense like the Rams did, but the 49ers offense could still take advantage of the Rams defense. And there's a lot of new pieces on that Rams defense. And can the 49ers offense slow down the Niners defense, slow down the Rams offense? And Wink, you said something that I want to go to next about seeing the team that you thought you might want to see all year long, right? Like the team we expected. They actually played 4 good quarters for maybe the second time all season. I think they played 4 pretty good quarters in week 1, and we haven't seen them close out a game very often since then. We haven't seen them play a complete game. We haven't seen them go down and just score and then stop and then go down and score again, right? And so that was really cool to see. But with the news that Dre Greenlaw could potentially play, according to Kyle Shanahan, on Thursday, seeing Talanoa Hufanga back, making plays instantly on the 49ers defense, just the energy, just the way that guys were moving around a little bit differently, seeing Hufanga out there. And we know that Dre Greenlaw is a maniac. And even if he doesn't play a full complement of plays like Hufanga and is kind of in and out of the lineup, just having that energy out there, if Bosa is potentially back on the field sometime soon, if you get past the Rams, if you start looking at this defense, and I know there's no Hargrave, but it starts to look a lot closer like the team we expected in training camp that might be out there on defense. Hufanga and Greenlaw and Nick Bosa. And all of a sudden you start to draw a picture of a team that maybe could put together a string of victories that could be led by a powerhouse defense that they once were.
Yeah, I think Charvarius Ward played a good game as well. And, you mentioned all these guys coming back that weren't there on Sunday, and they had 7 sacks. And again, I know it's not the best team in the world, the Chicago Bears, but when you get 7 sacks, you've had a really great day, especially when you're missing a guy like Nick Bosa. So, I mean, Nick Bosa's a huge question mark on the defense. So is Dre Greenlaw. But I mean, can you imagine the just the feeling of like, hey, getting Greenlaw back or getting Bosa back after you come off a big win? You're at home, short week, essentially another playoff game. Like this is a good feeling. It's a good start to the week if you're a 49er fan. It's a good feeling going forward because it's been a rough month and a half for this 49er football team. You talk about like they had one great game early in the season and then this was their second. Well, yeah. And so keep them going, right? Start stacking them up. Start stacking them together. There's talk of maybe getting Trent Williams back on the offensive line as well. I know Aaron Banks cleared concussion protocol, so he'll be back out there. So a lot of positive news going forward for this 49ers team. And I don't know if you saw me, but when you mentioned Dre Greenlaw's name, I just lit up because, I mean, you talk about a guy who loves playing football, who's a difference maker every snap. That's Dre Greenlaw. And the way he went out last year or earlier this year, so terrible. So it'd be amazing to get him back.
Hey, Croc, were you surprised that Jair Brown essentially got benched when Talanoa Hufanga came back? Because I think everybody, me included, assumed, okay, Jair Brown's sort of the free safety. He's been manning that position all season long. The rookie strong safety and Malik Mustafa would be the one that comes out of the lineup for Talanoa Hufanga. But it was Hufanga and Malik Mustafa that were the starters at the safety positions. And then Jair Brown did rotate in the game. Did that surprise you? And what do you think about that pairing at safety?
Yeah, the interesting thing was I didn't notice right away. When I'm watching the TV copy, when they show replays, I'll be able to kind of diagnose things, break things down, give a certain evaluation. But when I'm just watching the game from, broadcast view, I'm kind of watching it as a fan unless I'm dialed in on something specific. So I'd say most of the first half, I didn't realize that it was Hufanga that was starting. I'm like, oh, wait, okay, Hufanga, okay. I'm like, wait a minute. Jair Brown's not in there. So I think the thing from there, the takeaway from that is, if you were to have a meeting with the secondary coach, who I think is Bullocks, I want to say, and just ask him, like, what's going on with Jair Brown? Clearly, he's been doing something consistently that they couldn't replace him with anyone else on the roster, but definitely with a guy, Talanoa Hufanga's caliber. And they're probably like, we can't wait to get Hufanga back in there because Jair Brown, he's just messing up. And then you see a touchdown given up. Peacock, I think you gave a great explanation of it on what you saw from that play. But, there has to be a certain level of instincts that you're playing with at the safety position. And right now, Jair Brown, a guy who was a ball hawk in college, nobody in college football had more interceptions than him over the 2-year span that he was at Penn State. But right now, he's not being that ball hawk for the 49ers when they need him to be.
and it's against the run. He's kind of coming downhill, not really feeling sometimes in the right spot at the right times. And maybe just needs a quick seat to recalibrate things. And I don't know if it's going to be a Brown Mustafa long-term pairing at safety. If the 49ers might rethink things and be like, man, Hufanga makes a pretty big difference. Maybe we do need to move around some money and figure out a way to bring him back and pair him with Malik Mustafa as the long-term safety. So that's a discussion a little bit further for the offseason, and we'll see how Hufanga finishes the season. Hopefully he can stay healthy and continue to give that impact that he gave in week 14 against the Bears. And obviously it's a must win against the Los Angeles Rams here. Short week 15. It's going to be a good one. I want to talk a little bit more about Deebo. I know you got something else to say, Wink, and let's talk a little bit more about the Rams and this matchup for the 49ers. Must win. It's playoff time. Playoffs in December. Let's go. Next. This episode of Locked On 49ers brought to you by Built Rewards. If you're a renter, listen up, because this is a total game changer. Thanks to Built, you can now earn points on rent payments just like you do with groceries or travel. Paying rent now comes with serious perks, and it's completely free to join. You earn valuable Built points on your rent and everyday spending at no extra cost. Redeem points on redeem your rent points. Redeem those Built points for flights, hotel stays, even future rent payments. With over 500 airlines, 700,000 hotels in their program, the possibilities are endless. Access unique experiences that are exclusive to Built members. You're already paying your rent, so you might as well let your rent pay you back, right? So start earning points right now on rent. Joinbuilt.com/LockedOnNFL. That's joinbuilt.com/LockedOnNFL. joinbuilt.com/LockedOnNFL. Make sure you use our link so they know we sent you. Don't wait. Start earning rewards today. All right, Wink, I don't know if you have some thoughts on the defensive side of the ball before we get into this Deebo conversation, because I'm really interested to see your perspective as the voice of the fan. If you are new to the program, you don't know Nicholas Winkler. He joins us weekly here, my former podcast co-host that predates the Locked On Network, and my former radio colleague as well. Debo Samuel, and we talked about it post-game on the pod. It's like, the wide back might be dead because it's not working right now. He's like 2 yards a carry. And what are your thoughts on Deebo? And if you have any further thoughts on the safety position or the 49ers defense, give us those too.
Well, it's just a real quick last final take on that Bears game. And it's been some kind of a theme all season long for these 49ers. Hold on to an interception. I mean, D. Winter's just another one right through his hands. Like, it's getting really frustrating to watch. So hopefully going forward, the 49ers can secure a few of those, because, that can change an entire game. So let's hopefully they hold on to football. But to Debo Samuel, to the point there, he just looks slow, and he looks like he doesn't have the mobility or the agility that he used to have. And I mean, maybe they're just bad play calls. I mean, you watch some highlights from it, and there's some missed blocks and things like that. And he's getting the ball and he's immediately getting hit. But I think he's still a playmaker. I think he's still a guy that can get things done. He can still run guys over. He can still do this and that. And hopefully when you see him tweet something like, I'm not in a slump, I'm not getting the ball. Well, hopefully the squeaky wheel, gets the oil this week. They do feed it to him, and hopefully he's mad and he runs with that Deebo aggression that we're used to seeing. That kind of, you said what he was like, he stomps the ground hard or something. There was some phrase that you used for Deebo in the past, Peacock, that I really liked. That it's like, he's angry at the ground or something. Like, yeah. That's the Deebo I want to see going forward, because they need that. They need a guy that's going to run some guys over when you're down to essentially your fifth string running back. When you look back to the beginning of the season, like, let's go ahead and get Deebo involved. The wide back, I don't know, stop running him up the middle. We talked about it last week. Like, why are you still doing that? And they did it a couple more times. That's not working. So get Deebo in space, get him the ball, and hopefully he can still make some things happen.
What's the definition of insanity? Is when you keep doing the same thing and expecting different results. And that's kind of the way I look at Deebo, is like, he's just one move, like one juke, one arm tackle, one little burst away from breaking so many plays.
But he's not
happening. He's not doing it. So I don't know if we should stop expecting it, but you still see some of that explosive ability on the kickoff returns, right? So it's still kind of in there, but it's just not. He just hasn't quite hit as many big plays, not even close to as many big plays after the catcher as a runner as he has in years past. But Croc, like you as an athlete, you have to believe that. So whether Debo Samuel's right about needing the more touches or that he's lost anything at all, of course he has to feel like he hasn't lost anything, right? Because if he believes it, then he's in trouble, and maybe it is over for Debo Samuel. And I thought about this more after we recorded yesterday's podcast and talked about this a little bit with his quote about just needing the ball more. He might need to see the ball a lot in this game. If there's no Isaac Orendo, right? You might need it. And so if you're going to say that, okay, let's see it, go do it. And so I'm kind of interested, like, be mad. Hell yeah. Like, be mad at me and Croc for saying that the wide back is dead on this podcast. Whatever it is that fuels your fire, let's go, because the 49ers need it, right, Croc? So like, I hope he feels that way, and I hope he proves us wrong and be like, no, man, I ain't dead yet.
Well, one thing that we touched on was, and he's saying, oh, need the ball more. Yeah, 7 touches. So from that standpoint, is whatever you do. When I talk about Debo Samuel, even like last year, and I'm talking about the usage of the receivers, and everybody talks about Brandon Ayuk. When you look at the numbers and you start adding up carries and receptions, Debo Samuel touched the ball more than Brandon Ayuk. He had more touches. So this is somebody that they definitely look for different ways to get the ball in his hands. 7 touches, you got to do something with those touches. And if you don't, that's on you, because they're going to be creative with how they utilize you. Those screens, when we think of screens that they throw to him sometimes, I know he had the 120-yard catch, and then he had another pass that he caught behind the line of scrimmage. A screen is, we call those extended handoffs. Those are long extended handoffs. That's just get the ball to somebody. It's basically a handoff. We're looking for 5-6 yards. And the 49ers are looking for that from him, but they're not quite getting the production that they're looking for. So you're getting carries. You have 5 carries. They targeted you 3 times. That's not a ton, but when you just add all the targets in and the touches that he's getting, I feel like he is being utilized. And this is how I look at Deebo, whether he gets 6 catches or just 6 total touches, it's just touches that I think of with him. So I'm not sure. Maybe he's looking for more through the air, but because of how he's prepared for the seasons, this is kind of the best way to utilize you, Deebo, until you show otherwise.
And Wink, is there like a little rift growing here? Because when you say that I just need the ball more, well, now you're starting to point at either your head coach, who's the play caller, or your quarterback, because it's up to them to make sure that it's facilitated and you get the ball. Do you think there's something to that? Or because there was a comment from AJ Brown this week too, and he's like, what do you think's going on with your production and the passing offense? He's like, what's the problem? And he goes, passing. I was like, he just totally like crap all over Jalen Hurts, his quarterback, right? Because he didn't say it's the passing game. He didn't say the receiving. Right. We're not getting open. He said the passing. Well, one guy is passing the ball, and so that's interesting. And I wonder if there's a little bit of that to what Deebo is saying. If maybe the way he's utilized, he doesn't like it. He wants less wide back, more slant stuff for better catch and runs. I don't know. I'm interested I would like to actually pry further, and I wish I could hear more about what exactly Deebo thinks about his own usage and how he should be used, because maybe that's part of it.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned that 22-yard catch by Deebo. If you go and watch that replay, he was not open. There was a guy right on him. That was a perfect pass from Brock Purdy, where only Debo Samuel could catch that football, and he made a catch. And there was just so many times I went back and rewatched the game where if the plays like when Brock's initially looking to the left and you can kind of see Deebo running out to the right, he's just kind of. It doesn't look like he's given his all. It doesn't look like he's out there really working hard. So then if that breaks down and he goes to his second look, it's like I think Debo's over there just kind of lollygagging. He's just kind of not really paying attention, not trying to be that second option or that third option if he's not already the first option on the play call. Like, to me, that's what I'm seeing. I mean, maybe that's not the case, but I know that a lot of times Brock will go to his second or third guy, and a lot of times that's Juwan Jennings, because you talk about a guy who's working hard on every single play. That's Juwan Jennings, and he's earned everything he's gotten this year. He's had a fantastic season, and if he keeps going the way he's going, I mean, why would you not just keep feeding him the ball? He's playing extremely well. He's getting open. He's working hard. He's running guys over. He's blocking well in the run game, and that, which is also something Deebo does, of course, which is why he's super valuable to this football team. I just want to see a little bit more effort out of Deebo. I love these returning kicks because, like you said, he looks explosive on those kickoff returns, and you're getting the ball into one of your explosive playmakers. And so as many times as you can do that in a football game, get it done. So I do want to see Deebo get the ball more, but if he's not open or if he's not out there giving 100% on his routes, don't force it to him, bro. Get it to the guys who are open, who can make plays, because this is a team full of playmakers. It really is. I mean, we barely even mentioned George Kittle in this game and this podcast, and he had an amazing game. I mean, George Kittle's the number one tight end in football, if you ask me. So I don't know. I want to see Deebo get involved, but not at the expense of possibly risking getting the ball into guys who are more open than he is.
And I've been one to definitely like whine about the usage of receivers, pass catchers, getting guys targets. But if you're not doing something with the touches and targets that you're getting, you won't hear me vouch for a guy. So Deebo, I would like to see him. All right, with whatever touches you get, you got to maximize those, and then that would give Brock Purdy and Kyle Shanahan more incentive to potentially get you to rock more.
One of our listeners on YouTube pointed out that that maybe we're asking too much with wanting George Kittle to get the ball more, because he's already on pace for like 11 and 1,200 yards and double-digit touchdowns. And my response was, okay, more 1,500 yards then, right?
Yep.
Because it's working, and I'm not going to give Deebo more targets at the expense of George Kittle, and it's not like Ricky Pearsall's getting the ball much at all. So, like, where do you even take the targets from to give them to Debo Samuel if he wants more than he's already getting? And that would be my big question with Debo Samuel. But, man, he's had big games against the Rams in the past. Remember, this is the famous when he was going back and, it's not that same Rams group necessarily, but, man, he's toasted the Rams before. So it'd be a great time for it, Deebo. And my response to Deebo is like, okay, man, you talked it. Let's see it now. Let's see the walk now, because the Niners could really use it, and it'd be fun, because I love watching Deebo when he's in his prime and he's breaking tackles, and you think he can take every single catch run to the house. Like, he could house anything, and he's so hard to bring down. I want to see that, Deebo, and I want to see that Thursday night against the Rams. That would be a lot of fun. An interesting quote that from another wide receiver, Juwan Jennings, who you mentioned, Wink. Just a fascinating story for how his path has come to being the 49ers' best receiver in the 2024 season. And let's talk a little Los Angeles Rams here, what the Niners need to do to get that dub on Thursday night next. This episode of Locked On 49ers brought to you by Ice Shaker. And I know if you're like me, a holiday shopping list is, let's just say, far from complete. Well, if that's the case, we've got the perfect gift for the passionate sports fans in your life. Perhaps you've heard of Ice Shaker. Ice Shaker is now officially licensed with the NFL, NHL, NBA, NCAA, Major League Baseball, and makes the ideal gift. Croc and I both got an Ice Shaker, and we know that they are super well made. I was actually blown away by how nice this workout bottle was. It's created by the Gronk brothers. Ice Shakers has sold over 1 million bottles. They have changed the game with workout bottles, and this is the gift you've been looking for. Go to iceshaker.com, use code LOCKEDONNFL at checkout, and save 25% on your order. We got the 4D 49ers bottle, which looks awesome. They've got more minimal designs. You can get the combo pack that has the workout bottle and a water bottle in it. They're customizable. You can send in your logo and get a customized design on your favorite bottle. Turnaround time is about 3 to 5 business days on those. And it's a quiet agitator. It's kitchen grade stainless steel workout bottles. Phenomenal stuff. IceShaker.com is where you go and get 25% off with our code LOCKEDONNFL. So order your team branded bottles today at IceShaker.com. Code LOCKEDONNFL for 25% off. Show your support for your teams with the best branded workout bottles on the market, Ice Shakers. So Juwan Jennings was asked by reporters, about his relationship with Kyle Shanahan, and he said something interesting. He said that he wasn't really speaking for Kyle Shanahan, but he was just talking about his path and how he's had to earn so much in the NFL. He's a 7th round pick, and he was overlooked by a lot of teams. I think he was more athletic than his testing numbers, and he even had to get waived by the 49ers because his contract status was really interesting because when you end up being like a restricted free agent if you're an undrafted rookie, but it's also the same if you get waived during your rookie contract and then you get brought back. So he wasn't on the normal 4-year rookie contract for a 7th round pick like Brock Purdy is right now. He was actually waived and brought back. So another team could have just plucked Juwan Jennings away. And that's why when you see Israel Abanikanda, running back to the 49ers, claimed last week, it's like, well, that was Juwan Jennings, right? Going into his 2nd year in the league, he got waived. It didn't make the team, but then they brought him back. And now he's the best wide receiver on the team, right? So it takes some time and perseverance and what he's gone through. And he was just like, yeah, and I fought through this. And I think Kyle probably appreciates that about me. And you see the way he plays and he still earns it every single day. And he talks about how he's so thankful for his opportunity and where he's at. And you just have to have so many players like that on your football team. It's not all about the stars. It's not about the highest paid guys or the highest drafted guys. And, we've seen that with the 49ers. A great example is any team in the NFL. I just wanted to highlight Juwan Jennings for what he's done this year and hear him talk about his journey and his path and just how you have to be wired. And it's part of the Deebo conversation, right? Because Deebo, the last person that's going to agree that a player should retire and be done is that player. And so I could see why Deebo is saying what he's saying, even if he is actually done. And I think there might be still a little bit more in there, and we'll see what that looks like this week and the rest of his career with the 49ers and what that looks like in the offseason with him. It'll be the conversation, a lot of trade talk. But Juwan Jennings is also that guy who's just like the quintessential go to war with that guy. That's what Juwan Jennings has been for the 49ers. It's Rams week, guys. Short week. Thursday night football. Mm-hmm. Wink. What's this look like for you? You want to make a prediction? What the Niners have to do? Is there something on the on that Rams team where you're like, oh, I'm not worried about this. I'm super worried about that. What do you think about this matchup for the 49ers Thursday? It's a quick turnaround. It's a short week. Both teams flying high after big wins. Who you got?
Yeah, I mean, the short week obviously scares me, but I'd rather be at home for a short week than traveling on a short week. So I guess that's got to favor the 49ers a little bit. And this is the 49ers team and franchise has dominated the Rams over the last, 5-6 years. So hopefully you can get back to that. I know they lost that tough, lead earlier in the season and lost that game to the Rams. So this is, I said it earlier, this is a must-win game. And you just hope that maybe you can get one of these guys back that we mentioned, one of these guys that have been out for a few weeks, maybe a guy who's been out the whole season, Dre Greenlaw, that would give you kind of that boost. I mean, I know these guys don't need that boost. They know what they're playing for. They know how important this football game is. So you just hope that they can show up and just look like the football team that we just saw on Sunday, the team that goes out there, dominates, makes the plays, wins the line of scrimmage on both sides, and can find a way to extend the season because you lose this football game and you start asking those tough questions now, right? And we don't want to do that. We want to keep this season rolling.
As Croc and I put it yesterday, it becomes mock draft Monday if they lose the game Thursday, right? And that's
100%.
100%.
That's kind of where we're at with this season for the 49ers. Extend the season. I like that because they look, what is it? 5% chance, according to the next gen stats, that the 49ers win the division. They're going to need some help, right? And they got to win out and they got to do a lot and get a lot of help. But it would be more fun if that officially ends in week 17, 18 instead of week 15, right? So yeah, extend that season at the very least, Niners. And they're favored. They're favored by 2.5. The Niners are always favored. It seems like win or lose. They've been, I think, underdogs twice this year against the Packers and against the Bills. They did lose both of those games pretty handily. But they've been favored, I'm pretty sure, in every single game besides that. And they are still favored against the Los Angeles Rams here at home, Croc. Thursday nighter. It's usually in the advantage of the home team, even though it's not a long trip for the Rams here. What do you think about the Niners' chances in this game? What do you want to see? Because look, we can talk about who's better. We can talk about putting up 42 44 points for the Rams, 38 points for the 49ers last week, but the Niners lost that game in the margins, right? So it's the little things, the run fits and the penalties and the special teams. And like, that's where I feel like the Niners can win this game. And if you get Greenlaw and Hufanga out there and maybe even a little Bosa and Trent Williams, that doesn't hurt either.
I think one thing that you really have to do is force Matthew Stafford to turn the ball over. We've seen plenty of times against the 49ers where he's prone to do that. This 44-point game that the Rams just put up, he didn't throw any interceptions, right? So like, you want to beat this Rams team, that's the recipe. Get pressure on him, which, gosh, what team was I watching earlier this year? And they just could not protect Matthew Stafford at all. I would have to look at their schedule, but I was watching the game. It was on prime time, and I'm like, man, I almost feel bad for Matthew Stafford with how the O-line or lack thereof was kind of protecting him. So, but if you're the 49ers, you want to follow that blueprint. Get pressure on him consistently. Make him throw passes before he wants to. Make him throw passes blind. And Matthew Stafford, he's a gunslinger. He's prone to throw you a couple, and then you got to take advantage of that. But if you're not able to do those things, it'll be a long day for the 49ers defense, especially with Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp. Both those guys are cooking. They're healthy. They both have well over 100 yards in his last game. Cooper Kupp scoring a touchdown. I mean, Puka Nacua with the touchdown that really sealed the game at the end. Those guys will be tough. And what you really don't want either is you don't want this team to make you play honest on defense. They have no issues handing the ball off to Kyron Williams or Blake Corum. So you got Kyron Williams, Blake Corum, they're running the ball well, and then now I can throw it however I want, and you have the 49ers team off balance. I don't want to see that. So force some turnovers over early, dictate how the Rams have to play moving forward.
Another guy that could give the Niners a boost that could come off of IR this week in the Winks Wish Watch is Mitch Wishnowsky. He is available to return as of Tuesday afternoon. No word yet if they're going to activate him or stick with O'Donnell, but that could be a huge boost too. Although hopefully we only see him on Thursday night as he's holding extra points and he's not out there actually punting.
Yeah, exactly. And when Matthew Stafford does throw the ball to you, Wink, to pull it full circle, catch the ball, right?
Catch the ball.
That's huge.
Catch it.
Finish the deal. They finished off the Bears. They slammed the door. I want to see that 49ers team again Thursday against the Los Angeles Rams. We've got our crossover with the hosts of Locked On Rams on tomorrow's show. Hopefully good news throughout the week of practice, injury reports as well, and see a healthier team out there, get some more reinforcements for this football team down the stretch, and who knows, maybe even make a run for the San Francisco 49ers. We've got it all covered for you daily here on Locked On 49ers. Subscribe on YouTube or wherever you are listening to this podcast. Croc and I back tomorrow right here. Locked On 49ers.
I don't buy it.